Buddy, hope everyone's doing wonderfully well. It's my pleasure to be here with you guys for another daily game plan. And the key here, guys, is to understand that these game plans for me are a way for me to prep, but me to also help you prep. So, again, what I find, and this is just from my own personal kind of upbringing as a trader and learning the ropes, is that those of us that look at charts ahead of time, that kind of analyze what's moving on the day, basically formulating a game plan in your head, it helps you essentially make more money. If you look at people that, again, just jump in head first without a game plan versus people that game plan, you're going to see a difference in financial profits and stability and long-term, basically financial independence. So that's what we're here to do, folks. And again, we're going to jump right into it with some charts. It's awesome to be here with you guys. And again, my pleasure to get rocking and rolling. So the first things first, we got some basic action here in the dollar. The dollar is weaker this morning. The US dollar is trading lower. What does that mean, guys? You should know this by now. If the dollar is weaker, assets like stocks and crypto are going to be higher. Now, the S&P is not that much higher. The spiders are barely trading up on the day, just a little bit. Last I checked, just over $1. Actually, right now, only 21 cents higher on the SPY. So again, what that does is it tells us that even with a sinking dollar, the markets aren't getting much of a bounce. And actually, this is something very important to understand. All right, I want to show you the charts here. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the charts. This is the dollar. All right, so basically what I want to do is look at this, right? And what we can clearly see here on the US dollar chart is that we had a down day, a small up day, and then another down day today. If we flip over to the SPY chart here, what we can see is that we had the down day and then a week up day when the dollar fell. Notice how we had a red candle here. Look at this. We opened here, and by the end of the day, even with a fall in the dollar a couple days ago, we did not have much of an up day. Yesterday, same thing. The dollar was a little stronger. The markets tried to fight, and they fell back down. Today, again, the dollar is sinking, and we're seeing the markets barely catching a bid. In fact, the S&P just went negative as I'm saying this. Now, the reason why this is important is that over the past years, and I mean, I'm literally talking years, the market has had an inverse relationship with the dollar. When the dollar falls, the markets rip higher. The fact that we're not seeing that here is very problematic. That's a problem. All right. So again, to me, that's a warning sign of issues to come. You guys know I continue to hold generally a fair amount of shorts on the market, and I continue to look for downside. Doesn't mean every day is going to be down. We're going to get bounce days. But ultimately, again, this is a market that is in troubled waters. We're basically entering a phase now where, yes, inflation's coming down, but not enough to get the Fed to step on the sidelines, let alone cut rates. And that is a major problem. All right, so let's go into some other charts here as we get through here on the charts. We do have some movers this morning. I know a lot of you guys want to know what Bitcoin is doing. So let's start out with Bitcoin. Bitcoin remains in this channel. Notice the channel here, guys. Now, notice Bitcoin is getting a little bit of an up move today. All right, that's a weak dollar response. That's normal. All right, now my issue here is that, number one, we have a defined major top at 25,200 to 300. So that's your line in the sand. As long as that holds, you have to be on the negative side of Bitcoin. It hit resistance. It's pulling back off resistance. The other issue here is, take a look at this. Basically, we had the 4 down days in a row, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what's going on here? Let's draw a trend line in and put it in right there. That's a bear flag, an in spirit of bear flag starting to form. So when I see this pattern, what it tells me is that probabilities are now favoring downside on Bitcoin. Even if we get a little bit of a bounce here and there, as long as this pattern holds, essentially as long as price stays inside of this channel, you have to start thinking that Bitcoin has downside. Where's downside going to take you? The low end of the channel would be your first target. That's around 22,400. If that breaks, which, by the way, upsloping channels, if you look at a million upsloping channels, you'll see about 80% to 90% of them eventually break to the downside. Could be a month from now, could be 6 months, doesn't matter. The point is, an upsloping trend line 80 to 90% of the time will break to the downside. My guess is the break to the downside happens within 2 months, if not within a 1 month period. Okay, so that's your Bitcoin analysis. Again, Bitcoin right now chopping sideways. Again, reminder, that is a classic in spirit of bear flag. Bear flag by the name indicates that the probabilities signal downside coming. All right. Let's go on to some other charts here. What's moving today in the stock market? Let's take a look at First Solar. First Solar is getting a solid bid today, up $10 and change on the back of earnings. Volume is light, only 55,000, so that makes me a little bit cautious on trying to short this. But let's look at some levels. So right now it's at trading basically at $180. There is resistance right here at 180. I will not short that, not with the volume this light. All right. However, if we run up to 185.75 to 186, a double top right here, okay, that would be an opportunity for a potential short. All right, so I will be watching this on an intraday basis. I'll be analyzing the volume real time. And if I do decide to day trade this on the short side, that would be my first indicative level for a potential short. All right, so again, that's a potential opportunity. If by chance we get through, you have no major resistance until this upsloping yellow line. That would be your next level. That would actually be a swing trade short. Now, this is important, guys. Check this out. So basically, you have the difference between day trades and swing trades. And this is a great example. There are levels that as you become a pro, you're going to look at and say, you know what? As a technical quick trade, like a day trade where you're in and you're out within the same day, that's a good level. I should be able to capture some profits, some alpha there. You're going to also look at levels like that same blue level there on the chart of FSLR and say, or you should say, wait a minute, that's an intraday trade. It's not a swing trade. The swing trade has to be your highest probability over a multiple day period or week period. Well, very clearly, we see that this trend line, every time we hit, we get at least a couple days of downside, sometimes a lot more. That tells me that line, if we were to trade up here, that would be a major resistance level. All right, and that would be a swing trade short. All right, let's go on to some other charts here, guys. Let's go to gold. Let's talk a little bit about gold. Gold continues to bounce. I call this to a T. All right, so when we were number one, you guys know I've been bullish on gold for a long time. All right, but there was a point when we were up here on the chart of gold where I said to you guys, listen, I'm not advocating buying gold up here. Let it pull back. It's run too far. It's run too fast. No chart goes straight up, at least on a healthy basis, and no chart goes straight down on a healthy basis. So what do you want to do? You want to wait for a retrace to the scene of the crime. This is classic methodology from the Winning Trader series, available at verifiedinvestingeducation.com. And I teach this stuff. I teach all the ins and the outs there. But the bottom line is, look at the retrace and look at the level. Pivot high, choppy breakout, retrace to the scene of the crime. That was your buying opportunity right there. I picked up some GDX. I picked up some other things out there. Again, if you're a member of InTheMoneyStocks.com, you know exactly what I picked up over the last week or so as we were coming into this level. Gold is having a nice bounce today. GDX is up, etc. All right. I still believe gold will be the best performing asset. All right. I talked to you guys via a post on Twitter recently about where I expect the chart of the S&P to go. All right, over the next 12 to 18 months, I'm anticipating a drop on the S&P 500, another 22% to downside to this long-term trend. Now, you'll have big bounces along the way. Don't go and misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we're going straight there in the next 3 weeks. I'm saying that over the next 12 to 18 months, we are going to meander down to this level down here. All right. And again, that's right around 3,000 on the S&P 500. So what that means is that S&P is going to underperform. If the S&P is underperforming, you better believe it that Bitcoin is going to struggle as well. It's a risk asset right now. All right. Yes, I do believe there'll be a pivot point where it becomes more like gold. That's not yet. We still have to wait for that to happen. Probably coincides with regulation and bigger money starting to feel comfortable getting in the crypto space. But bottom line is, if we head down here, assets across the board are going to go down. I do think gold would gain traction, though. Gold is a safety asset. It's also an inverse dollar play. The dollar at some point, and we're starting to see it now, starting to weaken, and the markets are not rallying. There's going to be a point where the dollar is falling, and this is the scariest of all. The dollar falls, and the markets fall too. That's the worst case scenario. That's telling you we're in a very bad recession when that's happening. And even with lower rates, and this is the key, even with lower rates, what that's telling you is that the market doesn't believe that the recession will end, meaning the Fed has lost control. And that is the worst case of all scenarios, where the Fed loses control. Okay, Let's keep rocking and rolling, guys. Let's go over some other charts. I have some other big movers on the day. We'll cover silver shortly as well. I know some of you guys want silver. We got to touch base on Tesla here. Okay. Tesla, guys, is having an investor day today. You do have a little bit of bullish consolidation right here. So you have to be a little bit careful. I do ultimately think you're going to head back down to about 144, but there is a chance we have one more move up on Tesla to about the 225 to 230 level. There's this long-term trend line right connected right through here where that would be your upside. In addition, notice the downsloping trend line around 260. Those would be your two levels of resistance. I'm a big fan here of waiting. Let's see if we get one more push up in Tesla, and then I think you short it. All right. Elon Musk is a visionary. There's nothing to take away from him in that respect, but we've seen self-driving having issues. We've seen the fact that 99% of all revenue from Tesla is from car sales, which makes them a car company, which then you have to value them on the same levels as a Ford and a GM and some of these other ones. And remember, Ford is switching over to all electric. Heck, I even saw an Acura commercial today for their new electric vehicle. A competition is here. Their valuation has to come in. As much as people love them, it's got to come in. So again, I think on any pops, I'm going to be looking to continue to look to short this with a target probably downside of 144 right now, maybe even lower. All right, next up, we have NVAX. NVAX is moving today, dropping about 27% on NVAX. Now, the key here, guys, on NVAX, basically the company came out and said that they are looking at the potential of not being able to survive. They're burning through so much cash. They're going through so much cash that they don't know if they can survive. So the stock is obviously taking a big hit. Now, the question is, if we go to a larger time frame, where are we currently trading? We're trading at $6.70. So that's right around here. Where would we be going? I see, and this is very hard to see here, guys. Let me zoom in a little bit. But I see a big level on this at, let me see here, right down here. All right, looks like 585. 585, there's a gap, former gap fill right here. That would be my first level to maybe nibble just a little bit on a trade today. So it's still got, in all fairness, it's still got about 90 cents downside to go. But you get to 585 today, I'm probably nibbling in the live day trading room at inthemoneystocks.com. By the way, folks, I just want to pause in here. Make sure you guys are liking this stream. Give me some likes. Pound that like button. Follow me. Do what you got to do. I'm going to continue. In fact, I'm looking to make these broadcasts daily so that you know where to be every single morning to start out with the best alpha information out there. And again, pound that like button, follow me so you keep up on all the updates out there. All right. Next up, let's take a look at the next chart here. I have silver. I want to cover silver just a bit here. And if we flip over to the daily chart on silver and we go and reset the chart, what we can see, guys, is silver just tagged some major support. Pivot low right here. Look at the bounce on silver yesterday. You're coming back in just a little bit. Partially, you're getting a small bounce in the dollar now, even though the dollar is net down. But again, we are getting a little bit of a bounce here to the upside. So I believe silver is a longer-term buy. It's a little bit trickier. Remember, silver is not as easy to map as gold. The reason why it's not as easy to map is because it's an industrial metal plus a store of safety. So you have to understand that gold is a pure store of safety. It basically is, right? And when people are fearful, they buy gold. When the dollar drops, you buy gold. All right. That's just the simplicity of it. With silver, you have industrial production issues. So if the economy really slows, silver could struggle. And I say could, it could struggle just a little bit if there's a less demand on the industrial side for silver. So it doesn't mean, by the way, I still love silver mid to long term, but it just means as we go through this period of kind of maybe recessionary action with jobs numbers potentially weakening over the next few months, et cetera, it could be an issue here for the overall markets. Okay. All right. So, or I should say the gold market specifically. All right. So on that note, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few questions here. I don't have a lot of time left, but again, by the way, I'm broadcasting from my new office. And again, I love the fact that you guys are able to see into here. I know you can't see much. I can kind of show you a little bit. We have a big screen there. In fact, hey, you know what? I'm going to lift this over. You guys can see there's the terminal setups there. We have literally 12 trading stations. You can see the TVs on the wall. This is just giving you a partial view of it, but this is the new trading floor that, again, I just opened here in outside of Tampa. and super excited. I'm going to be opening it up to the public. If people want to come and trade out of this office and trade with me, alongside me, I'm absolutely open to that. We just have to work out the details, as there's 12 spaces available. But again, what I'm thinking of doing and what we're doing with my In the Money Stocks crew is basically we're going to be doing it where people come in for a 1 week period, trade with me live, and then we can have another group rotating in and out. All right, yeah, let's take a look at natural gas. So natural gas, everyone was saying, oh, Gareth's lost his ability here. He doesn't know what he's doing. All of his previous amazing calls were a fluke because natural gas is going to go down and it's never coming back. Well, what do we see here? Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up days in a row, small pullback right here. And ultimately, I ended up making a profit on my Boyle trade with members of InTheMoneyStocks.com. This is one of the reasons. And by the way, it wasn't that my first entry was perfect. It was off. I was incorrect. Let me rephrase. I was incorrect on my first entry. Traders are going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong. I've been wrong many times before. I'll be wrong again. The key is, how do you manage the position? Okay. How do you manage that position? And the way I did it was I started small when I started to accumulate. When we were in free fall on natural gas, I started to inch in, which enabled me to continue to buy dollar cost average as we were coming down. And that basically got my average down in the lower ranges so that when it bounced, I was able to make some good money. And that's something that, again, is so important for us as investors. In fact, I'm going to go to full screen on myself for this because I want to talk a little bit about this. So as a trader, you have to remember that you're going to be wrong. The retail crowd and a lot of it, and listen, I was like this in the beginning. And listen, for years, I was like this, where I would be like, oh, that's a great spot on this trade. So, or on this stock or on this crypto or whatever. So I'm going to go put all the money I think I'm going to need into this trade at that point. And ultimately, I'd find out that I was wrong quite a few times. And the key was I didn't have the money because I put too much in. I didn't have enough money to maneuver and trade around the position. Okay. So again, the key is that by doing this, folks, by dollar cost averaging, by starting small, by really, it's a mentality change. Stop your mind from thinking it's a no-brainer winner. And every time you take a position, assume you might be wrong. And by assuming you might be wrong, you're not going to put a ton of money in, I guarantee it. And that's going to change your whole ability to maximize profit by trading. I became a 10 times more profitable trader when I made that mentality switch. And so it's really a mindset. It's not the cocky mindset of, oh, I just want to double, triple, quadruple my account in a month. It's the mindset of, I may be wrong. I've been burned many times. So let me start small. And that actually increases your overall profitability. Very cool stuff, guys. Yes, I see a couple questions in there, guys. So again, I'm in Clearwater. The office is in Clearwater, just outside of Tampa. So just a heads up on that. And ultimately, a couple other things. I see some questions on the hedge fund. Yeah. There is a hedge fund that I do run, absolutely. But again, 500,000 minimum. You got to be a qualified investor to be in it. So again, if you want more, you can reach out to Brian, Bryan at SolowayAdvantage.com. Okay. Let me see what else we have here, folks. I'm just going to do a couple more questions before we wrap it up for the day. And again, my goal is to do these more often. So let's just go over a couple here questions. SARK is the inverse ARK ETF. Let's just take a look at ARK, by the way. And again, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of Cathie Woods in terms of her, long-term view and then being okay with losing 90% on trades while she's waiting for her long-term view to come to fruition personally. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is you can see that ARK has consolidated here. It's not at a buyable level yet, but it's getting very, very close. You have levels right down here. I would look for maybe one more little down move and then start nibbling. Your base level is going to be 29.60 or so. That's going to be your low end of the chart. Okay. Ronak saying Shah saying, where are we? I'm seeing too many messages come through. Glowbeam saying, what platform do you trade gold and natural gas on? So I trade ETFs. So I use stock brokers. I have Merrill Edge, TradeStation, Interactive Brokers. The charts I use, you guys can see TradingView. TradingView is awesome in my opinion. And again, for me, charts are the most important thing, right? I can execute through any platform. Most platforms are top notch these days, at least if they're name brands. But again, So again, TradingView is the charts that I use. By the way, yes, I have to touch on China stocks, guys. China stocks are ripping higher this morning. Alibaba's up about 5%. Coming into, look at this level on Alibaba that it hit yesterday. So look at this, right at this gap fill. Filled this gap yesterday right there. Look at that. And now it's up at $92 to $93. The key here was China reported PMI numbers, which are basically economic numbers in the overnight. And their economic numbers showed as much economic energy as was before COVID. So that was huge for these stocks. So you're seeing a lot of the Chinese stocks up. I'm seeing across the board quite a few to the upside. So beautiful moves on those as well. And yes, I am long Alibaba with members at inthemoneystocks.com. All right. All right, guys, I have to get going. I've got to get ready for the live trading room at inthemoneystocks.com. I'm going to be giving out live trades. Yesterday, we had two trades, 2 winners in my morning session. If you ever want to check that out, I really do encourage you. Again, it's day trading, so you got to be able to be in the room during basically the first 2 hours of the trading day, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. In addition, the jobs numbers on Friday, the non-farm payrolls number, that's going to be epically huge. Watch for that, guys. Lucky, I do like Amgen. Amgen's one of my favorite swing trade opportunities right now as well. I love that one. Yes, I love Fibonacci. Fibonacci occurs in nature. If it occurs in nature naturally, it's going to influence us as humans. Use those type of things. By the way, you see my charts. How many indicators do I have on them? Almost nothing, right? So remember, you look at a newbie's chart, it's going to have 1 million indicators. You look at a pro's chart, it's going to have almost nothing. I draw trend lines. Occasionally, I'll do fibs, moving averages. That's about it. The purity of the chart, it tells you. When you learn this stuff, it tells you what to do without having a bunch of indicators, which honestly just confused me at this point. I'm sure I'm not alone out there. So you guys, again, definitely educate yourself. Learn. Verified investing education is where it's at for me. That's where I put out my stuff, guys. Verifiedinvestingeducation.com. All right, you guys have a wonderful one. I'm going to try to do one on Friday for the jobs number. Have a great one. Love you all. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting me. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Take care.